All right, and welcome back to Amka. Today morning, let's get the traffic highlights on Thika Road. Things are looking a bit okay until you get to Nema Hospital. The traffic is moving. But when you get to Mountain Mall, there's a bit of traffic. Hapo karibu na Blue Springs Hotel as well, there's a bit of traffic. But after that, we are looking good. It's moving pole pole, lakini kwa kweli it is moving. So if you're going to town, everything is looking okay today Monday morning. All right. Theo, weirdly today things are looking good on Thika Road. It's on a Monday.
Okay, you
Right.
understand these things.
But KCA University kidogo kuna shikana.
It actually should be.
There is a bit of traffic.
Yeah, they said during Endman people travel to Shago kidogo, they eat the money kidogo, and then before they come back
And then
to
they
town.
come back kutafuta zingine huku. All right. So yeah, the traffic also in Ashikana when you get to Utalii Hotel. So of course, again, on your way to town, kidogo kuna tashwishi, but you will get in town vizuri, I suppose.
Right.
Please be safe out there.
That's a brilliant update by Miss K on the state of your bara. But just before we let Mr. Michael Agwanda go this morning, he was responding to a very interesting topic that was raised by Miss Kahiro about the issue of creatives. And before we went on that break, you were telling us about something interesting. So maybe, Mr. Agwanda, you might finish about the issue of young creatives.
I was talking about intellectual property. And in this country, people do not know that actually when they invent something, they can safeguard it to the inventor who is them specifically. And then anybody who wants to replicate what they've done have to pay them because they've registered it, they've patented it, and another word that is being used there. They've patented it, and it's their property, it is their intellectual property, and they can be paid, not just here in Kenya. Now people are working in Kenya, being paid from United States of America. I think we as a country need to embrace this creativity that Ms. Kerr was talking about. After embracing it, we need to educate the public that these are the places you need to follow so that you can patent any ideas that you have out there so that nobody comes out and pirates it. Another thing that we can do, as I was saying, is in the city of Nairobi, now when you walk over there, we can have the city is filled up by young people, either dancing or content creators and stuff like that. The question then we ask ourselves is, where are these other creative minds, like people who draw, people who paint? Can they also occupy the street of Nairobi so that we can have the street of Nairobi on weekends as a show of talent? You know, can we have clowns come in? It's not just a Uhuru Park, but can we use Nairobi as an opportunity for business, a robust business over the weekend, so that we can have this? But then you ask a question about exposed police killing cover-up.
In 1 minute, Mr. Agwanda.
In 1 minute.
Yeah.
This is sad. The only thing I will ask the policemen who are killing and they're covering their colleagues is, what if this cop that you've covered up will kill your relative next? What if he will kill your mother and father next? As you cover this guy up, remember that you're working with a murderer. And a murderer could also have some mental issues. What if he turns a gun on you? Let's not cover up this thing. Let's expose people who are killing people and murdering people, because that's against the Constitution. Thank you.
All right, that has been Mr. Michael Agwanda, governance expert, with us here on Amka Trend Viral, or the press review, if you like it. Now, let's take a look, or let's review on the question of the day that we had asked you earlier on when the show was starting. Now, the question of the day is tied to the recent developments in the education sector. Quite a flurry of confusion. The president saying there's enough money, the CS saying there's no money. What really is the stand of the government? We ask you this morning, how free and sustainable is the education in Kenya? Remember, that was a question of the day that we had asked you this morning, and quite a flurry or a number of feedback that are coming in. Let's start with this one. Mary from Nairobi says, education may be free on paper, but the hidden costs, uniforms, books, and transport make it nearly impossible for low-income families to afford. It's not truly free. That's an issue that Michael Agwanda has raised this morning when he was with us here in studio. Also, another feedback this morning right here. Mary from Nairobi says education may be free on paper. I believe that's we have taken that. Mary from Nairobi. Let's also take another one. Remember, our WhatsApp line is open. Our Facebook line is also open. Our X account is also open at K24TV. And also, that is the question we are asking you this morning on how free and sustainable is the education in Kenya. And I can see quite a number of comments streaming in. Okay, let's take this one once again. Okay, that is still Mary as we try to fix this also. There's also someone here on YouTube commenting and saying that the issue of free and sustainable education is quite disturbing because ni kama prezo na CS wa education hawaelewani. They are reading from different books. Someone is asking, so tutaamini nani? That's on YouTube. And also there's Kevin from Kisumu. Kevin from Kisumu says, public education in Kenya is trying, but sustainability is a big concern. Overcrowded classrooms, underpaid teachers, and inconsistent funding, they hurt the quality of education. That is Kelvin from Kisumu answering the question of the day. We also have Naomi all the way from Thika in Kiambu County. Naomi says, the CBC system was meant to be revolutionary, but many parents are struggling with the cost of materials. If it's not affordable for all, how can we call it free? Insightful comments or questions coming in on the question of the day. There's Brian all the way from Eldoret to asking the issue, indeed, the issue cutting across the country and beyond. Brian says there's a difference between access and quality. Yes, more kids are in school, but do they have desks, books, or even teachers? That's the real change. So let's just not focus on the issue of money only. Desks, books is also a crucial question. Amina, wow, from Garissa. This is interesting. Amina, good morning. How are you? Many thanks for talking to us this morning. Amina says, we've come a long way in expanding access, but the system still leaves marginalized communities behind sustainability. I said, leaves marginalized community behind. Sustainability must include equity. Japheth from the second newest city in the country says, education is only sustainable when it empowers youth with real-life skills and innovation. Right now, our system feels outdated and exam-oriented. Wow. Says our children only focus on issues to do with exams. That is Japheth from Nakuru. Interesting comments. Cynthia from Kule Pwani, Mombasa. She says, free primary and day secondary school is a good idea. But with dilapidated infrastructure and teacher shortages, it really feels like it's a broken promise, is it? Indeed, that is Cynthia from Mombasa talking to us this morning on Amka Kenya. Remember, this is where your day gets a head start. We have Tony from Machakos. Tony, good morning. How are you? Thank you for watching Amka Kenya this morning. Tony says, the idea of free education is noble, but let's be honest, most parents still dig deep into their pockets. Until that changes, it's not truly free and sustainable. Interesting sentiments this morning coming in from the conversation that is making rounds in the country and even beyond. And also, to continue with this discussion, but in another line, with us in studio this morning is Joachim Simiyu, who is a governance advisory and policy analyst expert, and it also sits in the Bunge la Mwananchi. This morning, based on that issue, Mr. Simiyu will be helping us to understand really, is the government listening to its people? Is the government heeding to the cry of the Kenyans? Joachim, welcome this morning to Amka Kenya, where we give Kenyans a head start.
Thank you.
Indeed, you have seen the reactions on the issue of the misunderstanding between the government or the executive, we may call it so, the president and the cabinet secretary of education, of treasury, I beg your pardon, giving conflicting statements. Let's open this by getting your take on the current state of affairs in the education sector in the country.
We already got the information given by the cabinet secretary, and what we are seeing happening from the executive part of the government is purely firefighting, because they saw the response from the ground. The Kenyan people didn't take the information given by the cabinet secretary with grace, and therefore the president is trying to damage control. But in real sense, I want to believe that they are struggling with sustaining education because I think their priorities are upside down. They are focusing on things that are not really helpful to the Kenyan people, but they are taking money to places that do not have really any good impact to the ordinary Kenyan. And therefore, some of the things that are happening under this government, to some of us, they are things that we expected to happen. Because as a leader of any organization, if you have not mastered the art of hiring managers, then you are going to have a very difficult time running that organization. And our president is suffering from that challenge, that the managers he hired, they have not done a good job in helping him deliver the promises he made to the Kenyan people. And right now, when you look at the things that he himself promised on the campaign trail, he's struggling to deliver the same. He actually went to an extent to ask that, did these problems actually start happening during my presidency? He's forgotten that the reason why some of the Kenyans believed in him is because he highlighted the problems and made a promise to the Kenyan people that he understood what the problem was and he was coming to solve it.
Okay. Let's just touch on something you've mentioned, the issue of the president being a hiring manager. Now, maybe briefly you can help us understand, if you have any understanding of how this hiring process should look like, or is it the president trying to run the show alone?
It all boils down to meritocracy. The people you are employing in different sectors in your organization, what is the biggest reason why you settled for that particular person? Did they actually qualify to be in that office? Or is it just rewarding political loyalty? If you reward political loyalty at the expense of meritocracy, then you should not expect a lot of results. And that's the problem that we are having. Some of the people in this government, when you try to think about what really made the appointment possible, you cannot settle on any tangible reason apart from political loyalty, as I put it. So when you see the government fumbling with basic rights to the Kenyan people like education, it begs the question, did he employ the right people in these sectors that should be providing these sacrosanct rights to the Kenyan people?
So when maybe you look at the ministries, CMU this morning, now you said it's based on rewarding loyalists or
let me
instead
ask,
of meritocracy.
like if you looked at the CS for health.
Yeah, I was coming to that. Maybe I was coming to that. Maybe to let you highlight to us. What are some of these ministries that you think we have loyalists instead of people who really qualified for these positions?
What is the reason why Aden Duale is Cabinet Secretary for Health? What in his resume actually points to the direction that he can be a Cabinet Secretary for Health? When you walk around these hospitals, actually you should work hard and pray to God that you don't fall sick, because these public hospitals are in a mess. And when you go there, you actually wonder what's happening. I received a call from someone at Mbagathi Hospital where there are no doctors. Our whole hospital has only 2 clinical officers. The people are not admitted based on the urgency of their need. You come to the hospital, but you have to queue the line, however urgent your medical issue is. You see 2 people die on the line. These are things that are made possible because the people managing these sectors are not supposed to be there in the first place.
All of them, or just
some of these people? Because some of these people are in these positions because of their proximity to the president and the relationship they have with the president. It's not because they qualify to be in these sectors. And I have highlighted the Cabinet Secretary for Health. The second Cabinet Secretary I want us to think about, why is he even a Cabinet Secretary? Is the Cabinet Secretary for Interior. I think he was supposed to be made Cabinet Secretary for Interior Design and not Interior Security, because he's much into flashy things and shiny things. He should be made Cabinet Secretary for Interior Design. You can look at how the security sector is it's all in a shamble. People are being shot. They are saying that they shot people who are threatening businesses. No, the people who are shot were peaceful protesters, but goons were protected by the police, who are supposed to be protecting property and human life. I don't blame the cabinet secretaries. I blame the appointing authority. He had a lot of options, but he settled for people who cannot deliver. That's why we're here, in this problem. Yes.
All right. And just a glimpse from where you sit as a governance advisory and policy analyst expert, your point of view on the current state of affairs in the nation.
I think we should try and understand what really is the issue here. Some of us have been made to believe that the issue here is just President Ruto. And people think that when we get a president who lies a little bit less, or we get a president who is who does not wield the Bible, then we will solve a problem. No. The whole issue here boils down to how the economic status of the country is right now. We must ask ourselves, why are we having protests here and there? Why are the young people in this country restless? Why are we always pointing fingers towards the government? It's because government has created an environment where even the day-to-day survival of the ordinary Kenyans is hard. And so when you are leading people who are hungry, it becomes difficult for you to control them. They will come, even if you are a parent at home and you've not provided food for your kids, you will have a problem staying with those kids in that house. And that's the problem President Ruto is having. Instead of him asking himself, why are our young people coming to the streets knowing that there is a possibility of them being shot, but they are still showing up in the streets? Because they have been put in a situation where they have to choose two things, either die of hunger, joblessness, or die of a bullet in the streets. And therefore, we need to look for a president or a leader of this country who actually thinks about the economic reorganization of the country. It's not about governance. All these things are just symptoms of a bigger problem. The bigger problem is the economy. If we handle that and we find jobs for our young people, then everything, all these protests will have a natural death. But unless we do that, all we are doing is, like I said, firefighting that will not succeed. Yes.
And when firefighting that will not succeed, recently we saw a Gen Z questioning and asking the president a very critical question, and maybe I want you to also respond to that. He asked the president, vile tulielewana ulifanya na vile unafanya tulielewana.
That's my friend Nganga Muigai. We are together in Bunge la Mwananchi. That's a question that reminds the people, what are the things that the president told us on the campaign trail, and what are the things that he is doing right now? On the campaign trail, President William Ruto said that he had set aside 100 billion that will help him create jobs for 4 million young Kenyans. Now, when the young people come and ask for those jobs, he comes now and asks them, did this joblessness issue start with my presidency? That is why my friend Nganga Muigai asked the question, are you doing as we agreed? President Ruto promised the Kenyan people that it will be a thing of the past for extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances. We have Denzel Omondi, who was found in a ditch in Juja under his watch. It's not because President Ruto killed him. It's because Denzel Omondi died when President Ruto is in power. That's why we are asking questions. The things that we are going through are same things that we went through during President Uhuru's time. But President Ruto said that he is coming to solve that problem. Then we're asking a question, why do we still have this problem when you say that you know what the problem is and you're coming to solve it? He talked about the plan. Now we are reminding him, where did the plan go? What happened to this plan? Because he talked on the campaign trail, he cut the image of someone who really understands what the problem the Kenyans have, how he's coming to handle it. But 3 years down the line, we are even deeper into bigger problems. He said that one of the things that is hurting the economy is borrowing every day. He's continued to do that. So he's doing things that we didn't send him to do. And he's not listening. We have a president that is all-knowing. When you talk about health, he tells you he knows how he will handle it. When you talk about security, he has an idea of how to handle it. But clearly he doesn't, because the problem keeps on recurring. And unless these issues are handled and solved, we are not going to have peace, as they say.
Okay.
Because I always say that peace is like a roof, but justice is a wall. And therefore, if you do not have a wall, how can you have a roof? That is it.
Okay. Now, you've clearly answered the question that we are asking this morning, whether the government is really listening to the plea of Kenyans. And outrightly, Mr. Simiyu, you've mentioned and said the government is not listening. It's clear based on the things that you have highlighted. Now, we'd want to know, how do we behave as Kenyans now when we raise concerns and the government doesn't listen? What route should we take as Kenyans or as citizens of this country?
In the case where the government turns in itself against its own people, then it's the duty of the Kenyan, those people who have been turned against by their own government, to look for another government. We have the power given to us in the Constitution to choose another government, even end his term before it ends. It's all within our sphere of influence, because as we continue to give them time, the more we continue getting off the track. And as we waste more time, it will take us more time and hard work to come back on track. And therefore, it's in the best interest of every Kenyan to think of getting a new government, a government that actually thinks about the Kenyan people. We want a government where when every Kenyan wakes up, everywhere they are, they thank God that they have a good government. They thank God that they have a good president. And they will therefore thank God that they have a good country. As we speak right now, it's like every time when you wake up and remember you are in Kenya and the kind of government that you have, survival becomes an achievement. That you went to the streets and came back home safe, that's an achievement. We've come to a place where a kid watching cartoon in her father's house is hit by a bullet. And when we ask questions about it, they tell us that was a stray bullet. And the question I ask is this: if that bullet that hit this young girl was stray, who was it aimed at? Let's assume it went to the person that was the target. Who will that person be? Would it be a goon or a peaceful protester?
Mr. Simiyu, just hold your thoughts right there. Allow us to take this break, and then we're coming back with a continuation of that, and also on the question of the ideal definition of a good government. How does a good government look like, and what is the ideal relationship between the government and its citizens? Let's take this break. See you on the other side.